In this Diablo IV beta guide, I'm going to break down the different mistakes you shouldn't make to save you time during the beta period. If you're looking for effective ways to quickly get started in Diablo IV, then this video is for you. In Diablo 4's beta, players will be able to experience the prologue and Act 1 of the game together with some notable features such as some of the world tier difficulties, equipment upgrades, stats and attributes for each of the classes, and more. Given the short beta period, you'll want to know the tips and tricks to make the most out of your time in the game. So, without further ado, let's start with the ways in which you can level up quickly. There are several things you can do to efficiently reach the max level of beta, which is 25. First, you may be tempted to start out the game's difficulty on World Tier 1 in order to destroy mobs and bosses quickly. However, World Tier 2 isn't all that difficult save for a few encounters depending on your class. Going straight into veteran mode for the increased experience and gold gains will be much more efficient as well as a welcoming challenge. The difficulty is initially selected in the game's character selection, but you can freely change tiers in Hyovashad's World Tier statue just northeast of the waypoint to test it out. Second, participating in local events with random people will only grant 5% experience bonus, so instead you should party up with a friend to get the most XP bonus possible, which is 10%. Not only do you both receive the same bonuses, but defeating enemies will be much easier and faster as a result. Third, you can craft various elixirs at the local alchemist using the various herbs you pick up. These consumables' main use are to buff your defense and offensive capabilities for 30 minutes per potion, but they also have the useful side effect of granting a small bonus to XP gain. This, alongside the difficulty mode and party bonuses, should stack up quite significantly by up to 35%, although do note that you can only have one elixir active at a time. Fourth, in addition to the usual quests, you should make it a point to complete side dungeons or strongholds since they provide a lot of XP even though they're quite long. Because of this, your level progresses at a faster rate since it can increase by more than half, especially when you're doing these activities with a buddy. And finally, remember to press M followed by W to view your region progress, which signifies your renown value or how much of the fractured peaks you discover. So long as you achieve the number of points required per category, each character can claim bonus XP and gold. There are tons of activities in the fractured peak area alone, so you're sure to stumble upon a lot of these things that will boost your renown organically without having to grind. Do not make the mistake of selling any of your items since you can easily earn gold by participating in local events and side dungeons, and instead, it's better to salvage them. Doing so will allow you to stockpile raw materials which you'll then need in order to upgrade or imprint equipment in the future. Furthermore, you'll want to save your legendary items since you can extract their affixes in the form of aspects at the occultist. This is going to be highly valuable since you'll definitely need them should you decide to switch builds. However, do note that aspects can only be used once. For instance, if you've already imprinted them onto an item but you prefer the next item you recently got, you won't be able to re-extract the same aspect again. Also note that aspects found on two-handed weapons or imprinted onto two-handed weapons will have double their value compared to other slots, and amulets will have an extra 50% compared to other slots, so make sure you put the best aspects you want to use in one of these places. In terms of equipment upgrades, it's not a good idea to wear armor and wield weapons simply because the initial stat screen shows green bonuses. If you spend enough time playing Diablo 3, then the green value would make you immediately think that this would be an overall DPS increase. However, this is wrong for Diablo 4. For instance, if you're playing the Barbarian class and you have pants which have higher armor rating, hence the green bonus, but it also contains the Intelligence attribute, you're better off with a different pair featuring better affixes. These include increased physical damage, damage reduction, strength, willpower, or dexterity, since Intelligence will not grant any offensive benefit to the Barbarian. Last but not least, you'll want to enable Advanced Tooltip Compare to give you a more detailed breakdown of your item comparisons. You gain a full summary of what you'll receive and lose when changing equipment pieces, which helps with decision making. Attributes provide different offensive bonuses to certain classes. Strength increases the skill damage for Barbarian, Dexterity for the Rogue, and Intelligence for the Sorcerer. However, keep in mind that Strength has no offensive bonus whatsoever for the Sorcerer. The same applies to Intelligence for Barbarians. Each attribute also provides a defensive bonus. For example, a point of Strength increases armor by 1, Intelligence raises elemental resistances by 0.05%, Willpower improves healing received, and Dexterity provides a small amount to dodge. And with regard to attributes, you might wonder if the Altars of Lilith are worth the trouble to find because their bonuses may seem extremely small at first glance. They provide +2 to one of your primary stats, +8 to maximum life, and +5 to maximum obols, which is a currency used for item gambling. While it starts out very minuscule, this quickly adds up the more statues you discover. Additionally, the stat bonuses is account-wide, so that means any alternate characters you make moving forward will get a nice boost right out of the gate. In fact, the Fractured Peaks alone has 28 of these landmarks to find, so you should absolutely find them if you can. In connection to classes, it's important to not start with a Barbarian if your intention is to test out their Expertise class feature or the Arsenal system. Unfortunately, the Weapon Technique perk isn't available in the beta build of the game. Its corresponding quest, which is Masters of Battle, is located in the Dry Steppes outside of the Fractured Peaks. Although it's worth noting that the weapon passive effects are available. This means that using the same weapons over and over again will grant multiple perks the higher their ranks are. Additionally, barbarians tend to have some difficulty in the side dungeons and bosses, but they aren't completely unmanageable. You can use our Ren Barbarian build if you're having trouble. Next, avoid spreading your skills too thin. You only have about 26 skill points available in the beta, which is a combination of leveling up to 25 as well as claiming renown rewards. As such, you should ideally invest in about one basic and one core skill. These will act as your bread and butter abilities, with one costing no resources, or in the case of Barbarian, generates Fury, and the others being your spender. You also don't need to invest too many points in the base version of your selected skills either. There are a lot of abilities that provide tons of utility only with 1 point invested in them, such as the Rogue's Poison Trap or the Barbarian's Leap. The Ensnare and movement effects are more than enough of return on investment. On the other hand, it can be tempting to just pour your skill points into your active abilities and their enhancements as well as one of their exclusive upgrades. But be sure not to skimp on the other purely passive nodes in your skill tree. For example, the Rogue's Weapon Mastery, Exploit, and Malice, as well as the Barbarian's Pit Fighter, for example, provide significant damage bonuses, especially at level 3. You can also easily pre-plan your build by making use of the keyword search in the skills menu. Here you'll be able to highlight key features which you want to make use for your playstyle. For instance, you can select all of the skill nodes that have an effect on the Barbarian's Berserking, making it easier to plan ahead. You can also quickly find nodes that have special status effects such as Bleed, Poison, or Vulnerable. The keywords displayed will always be relevant to the current class. And finally, be sure to enable advanced tooltip information in the options menu under Gameplay. This will give you more numbers and a breakdown of the majority of your abilities. That wraps up our Diablo IV beta guide. I hope that answered some of your questions and sets you off in the right direction if you didn't play last weekend, and maybe even if you did, it gave you some idea of some things maybe you weren't aware of. We are going to be having some Druid and Necromancer builds go up on the channel this weekend before the beta ends, so stay tuned for those. And just a reminder, we are giving away one more Diablo IV Collector's Box this weekend, so make sure you sign up for it on the homepage of the Diablo IV Wiki.